Old Age by Anton Pavlovich Chekhov. Chekhov, an architect with the rank of civil councillor, arrived in his native town, to which he had been invited to restore the church in the cemetery. He had been born in the town, had been at school, had grown up, and married in it. But when he got out of the train, he scarcely recognized it. Everything was changed 18 years ago, when he had moved to Petersburg. The street boys used to catch marmots, for instance, on the spot, where now the station was standing now, when one drove into the chief street, a hotel of 4 stories stood facing one. In old days, there was an ugly grey fence, just there, but nothing, neither fences nor house had changed, as much as the people from his inquiries of the hotel waiter Chekhov learned that more than half of the people he remembered were dead, reduced to poverty, forgotten. "And do you remember Chekhov?" he asked the old waiter about himself. Chekhov, the architect who divorced his wife, he used to have a house in Svarbaevsky Street, you must remember. "I don't remember, sir." "How is it you don't remember? The case made a lot of noise, even the cabmen all knew about it. Think now, Shapkin, the attorney, managed my divorce for me, the rascal, the notorious card-sharper, the fellow who got a thrashing at the club. Ivan Nikolaich." Yes, well, is he alive? Is he dead?" "Alive, sir, thank God. He is a notary now, and has an office. He is very well off. He has 2 houses in Kirpichny Street. His daughter was married the other day." Chekhov paced up and down the room, thought a bit, and in his boredom made up his mind to go and see Shapkin at his office. When he walked out of the hotel and sauntered slowly towards Kirpichny Street, it was midday. He found Shapkin at his office, and scarcely recognized him from the once well-made, adroit attorney with a mobile, insolent, and always drunken face. Shapkin had changed into a modest, gray-headed, decrepit old man. "You don't recognize me, you have forgotten me," began Chekhov. "I am your old client, Chekhov." Chekhov, what Chekhov? Shapkin remembered, recognized, and was struck all of a heap. There followed a shower of exclamations, questions, recollections. "This is a surprise, this is unexpected," cackled Shapkin. "What can I offer you? Do you care for champagne? Perhaps you would like oysters, my dear fellow. I have had so much from you in my time that I can't offer you anything equal to the occasion." "Please don't put yourself out," said Chekhov. "I have no time to spare. I must go at once to the cemetery and examine the church. I have undertaken the restoration of it." "That's capital. Well, have a snack and a drink, and drive together. I have capital horses. I'll take you there and introduce you to the churchwarden. I will arrange it all. But why is it, my angel, you seem to be afraid of me, and hold me at arm's length? Sit a little nearer." "There is no need for you to be afraid of me nowadays, he. At one time, it is true, I was a cunning blade, a dog of a fellow. No one dared approach me. But now I am stiller than water and humbler than the grass. I have grown old. I am a family man. I have children. It's time I was dead." The friends had lunch, had a drink, and with a pair of horses drove out of the town to the cemetery. "Yes, those were times," Shapkin recalled, as he sat in the sledge. "When you remember them, you simply can't believe in them. Do you remember how you divorced your wife? It's nearly 20 years ago. And I dare say you have forgotten it all, but I remember it, as though I'd divorced you yesterday. Good Lord, what a lot of worry I had over it. I was a sharp fellow, tricky and cunning, a desperate character. Sometimes I was burning to tackle some ticklish business, especially if the fee were a good one, as for instance in your case. What did you pay me then? 5,000 or 6,000. That was worth taking trouble for, wasn't it? You went off to Petersburg and left the whole thing in my hands to do the best I could. And though Sofia Mihailovna, your wife, came only of a merchant family, she was proud and dignified. To bribe her to take the guilt on herself was difficult, awfully difficult. I would go to negotiate with her, and as soon as she saw me, she called to her maid Masha. Didn't I tell you not to admit that scoundrel? Well, I tried one thing and another. I wrote her letters and contrived to meet her accidentally. It was no use. I had to act through a third person. I had a lot of trouble with her for a long time, and she only gave in when you agreed to give her 10,000. She couldn't resist 10,000. She couldn't hold out. She cried. She spat in my face. But she consented. She took the guilt on herself. I thought it was 15,000 she had from me, not 10, said Chekhov. Yes, yes, 15, I made a mistake, said Shapkin in confusion. It's all over and done with, though it's no use concealing it. I gave her 10, and the other 5 I collared for myself. I deceived you both, it's all over and done with, it's no use to be ashamed. And indeed, judge for yourself, Boris Petrovich, weren't you the very person for me to get money out of? You were a wealthy man, and had everything you wanted. Your marriage was an idle whim. And so was your divorce. You were making a lot of money. I remember you made a scoop of 20,000 over one contract. Whom should I have fleeced if not you? And I must own I envied you. If you grabbed anything, they took off their caps to you, while they would thrash me for a ruble and slap me in the face at the club. But there, why recall it? It is high time to forget it. Tell me, please, how did Sofia Mihailovna get on afterwards? With her 10,000, very badly. God knows what it was. She lost her head perhaps, or maybe her pride, and her conscience tormented her at having sold her honor, or perhaps she loved you. But do you know she took to drink? As soon as she got her money, she was off driving about with officers. It was drunkenness, dissipation, debauchery. When she went to a restaurant with officers, she was not content with port or anything light. She must have strong brandy, fiery stuff to stupefy her. Yes, she was eccentric. I had a lot to put up with from her. Sometimes she would take offense at something and begin being hysterical. And what happened afterwards? 1 week passed, and then another. I was sitting at home, writing something. All at once, the door opened, and she walked in drunk. Take back your cursed money, she said, and flung a roll of notes in my face, so she could not keep it up. I picked up the notes and counted them. It was 500 short of the 10,000, so she had only managed to get through 500. Where did you put the money? It's all ancient history. There's no reason to conceal it now. In my pocket, of course. Why do you look at me like that? Wait a bit for what will come later. It's a regular novel, a pathological study. A couple of months later, I was going home one night in a nasty drunken condition. I lighted a candle, and lo, and behold, Sofia Mihailovna was sitting on my sofa, and she was drunk too, and in a frantic state as wild, as though she had run out of bedlam. Give me back my money, she said. I have changed my mind. If I must go to ruin, I won't do it. By halves ill, have my fling. Be quick, you scoundrel, give me my money. A disgraceful scene. And you gave it her? I gave her, I remember, 10 rubles. Oh, how could you? Cried Yuzhelkov, frowning. If you couldn't or wouldn't have given it her, you might have written to me, and I didn't know. I didn't know. My dear fellow, what use would it have been for me to write, considering that she wrote to you herself when she was lying in the hospital afterwards? Yes, but I was so taken up then with my second marriage. I was in such a whirl that I had no thoughts to spare for letters. But you were an outsider. You had no antipathy for Sofia. Why didn't you give her a helping hand? You can't judge by the standards of today, Boris Petrovich. That's how we look at it now. But at the time we thought very differently. Now maybe I'd give her 1,000 rubles. But then even that 10-ruble note I did not give her for nothing. It was a bad business. We must forget it. But here we are. The sledge stopped at the cemetery gates. Yuzhelkov and Shapkin got out of the sledge, went in at the gate, and walked up a long, broad avenue. The bare cherry trees and acacias, the gray crosses and tombstones were silvered with hoarfrost. Every little grain of snow reflected the bright sunny day. There was the smell there always is in cemeteries, the smell of incense and freshly dug earth. Our cemetery is a pretty one, said Yuzhelkov. Quite a garden. Yes, but it is a pity thieves steal the tombstones. And over there beyond, that iron monument on the right, Sofia Mihailovna is buried. Would you like to see? The friends turned to the right and walked through the deep snow to the iron monument. Here it is, said Shapkin, pointing to a little slab of white marble. A lieutenant put the stone on her grave. Yuzhelkov slowly took off his cap and exposed his bald head to the sun. Shapkin, looking at him, took off his cap too, and another bald patch gleamed in the sunlight. There was the stillness of the tomb all around, as though the air too were dead. The friends looked at the grave, pondered, and said nothing. She sleeps in peace, said Shapkin, breaking the silence. It's nothing to her now that she took the blame on herself, and drank brandy. You must own Boris Petrovich. Own what? Yuzilkov asked gloomily. Why, however hateful the past, it was better than this. And Shapkin pointed to his grey head. I used not to think of the hour of death. I fancied I could have given death points and won the game if we had had an encounter, but now. But what's the good of talking? Yuzilkov was overcome with melancholy. He suddenly had a passionate longing to weep, as once he had longed for love, and he felt those tears would have tasted sweet and refreshing. A moisture came into his eyes, and there was a lump in his throat, but Shapkin was standing beside him, and Yuzilkov was ashamed to show weakness before a witness. He turned back abruptly and went into the church. Only 2 hours later, after talking to the churchwarden and looking over the church, he seized a moment when Shapkin was in conversation with the priest and hastened away to weep. He stole up to the grave, secretly, furtively looking round him every minute. The little white slab looked at him pensively, mournfully, and innocently, as though a little girl lay under it instead of a dissolute, divorced wife. To weep, thought Yuzilkov. But the moment for tears had been missed. Though the old man blinked his eyes, though he worked up his feelings, the tears did not flow, nor the lump come in his throat. After standing for 10 minutes, with a gesture of despair, Yuzilkov went to look for Shapkin.